Welcome to this behavior code episode. Now, I'm going to use this as a means for me to talk about philosophy of love, which is a synthesis of my trainings with my teacher. I'm just kind of bullet pointing out some things. I'll kind of hide some of the the deeper keys that really should be paid for. Man, the battery's already down on this. All right, let me get my portable battery on this Instagram. Okay. All right, there you go. So I'll be going over these bullet points. It'll be a podcast episode. So if you're catching this on, hope you appreciate it on iTunes or whatever platform, YouTube. Enjoy the episode. It's going to be really powerful and stick with it because it's the wisdom. I am just gleaning sound bites and gleaning information. I'm packing it all together. It's going to be kind of dense and I'll try to explain things. So definitely audience participation is always great. If you got questions, in some way. Okay, so let's get started. And of course, you can always tune into this podcast again later every Tuesday. It's at this time, same Zoom link. Or this lecture is also going in the silent flute in the Philosophy of Love folder. Okay, so you must be able to provide reasons for your mating strategy. Provide reason for why you want them, and think of it as a mating strategy. That's the behavior code. It's the code of how you're relating with each other. The code of how you're promulgating life, how you're creating. And there must be reason for it. And reason isn't always, you could use experience as a reason. And so it's like a preventative thing because when that happens, this other thing happens. But there must be reason throughout. If there's not reason and you just want them to be, that is being manipulative. If you're trying to convince somebody to do something just because you want them to, you're going to end up coming across, after a few times of being rejected on that idea, you're going to come across as too forceful. You're going to come across as you're trying to manipulate the person because it is manipulative. You have a feeling, you must learn how to communicate it. Otherwise, you're trying to manipulate them by you feeling bad or you sub-communicating some kind of threat. And so reason, communication comes with that. That's what it is. Communication is reasonable. It's supposed to be rational. Every word means something. No word means nothing. Okay? So all of these could go have bigger teachings, and that's kind of what the silent flute was. So I'm just going to kind of put down the list. Her insecurity triggers my instabilities, where I'm not solid on a topic of, let's say, talking to other guys, or where I'm not solid on when she criticizes something about me, says I handled it too harshly, or anything that I'm unstable on, that is triggered by her lack of certainty around that thing, because I have a lack of certainty. If I had certainty and she wavered, she would come back to balance. So my instability then validates her insecurity. So we end up relating with each other, and as we evolve in our relationships or in our relationship, we become less triggered by what the other person is doing. But his wavering triggers her insecurity. Her insecurity validates his wavering. Her insecurity triggers his wavering, which validates her insecurity. So we're looking to find these off vibes. You're actually hunting for those. You're not looking to avoid that. You're actually looking for the off vibes inside of the code of ethics. You have a honesty, loyalty, commitment, committed to the truth, commitment to yourself. Within these ethics, we can relate with each other through the off vibes. And based on the environment, I correct who I'm being. I correct my character. Depending on whom I'm around. What is their age? Change your speech. Younger, change your speech. Very old, change your speech. Change your action. Change your posture. Around this gender or that gender. In this environment or that environment. You adapt the character specifically to the environment. You actually, because there are so many environments, you'll notice you get a girl and she learns how to be with you, but then you take her to a restaurant for the first time. She doesn't know how to be with you just because you taught her how to be with you outside of the restaurant. Then you go to a movie theater, you go to a dance, you go to a party, you go to anywhere, you go to the grocery store. Each environment you must recreate your ideal. Remember the silent flute lecture. You got to create that beingness that you're looking for. And this is a big change for people, especially even for men, because a lot of men, you're not used to leading. So you get the ideas of leading and you start messing it up because you think just thinking you're a leader makes you a leader. You actually have to lead in all of the situations. And that can be gratifying when a new woman or a fresh new woman, so it could be fresh because you've been with the same woman, but a new woman, it'll feel gratifying to get her compliance that she keeps following you. But after a while, it gets annoying because she's negative. So she'll nag and she'll create resistance. She doesn't follow purely, and who could blame her? She's her own individual. So of course she's going to question things, and she's got bad communication because she's been bullied all her life. So she's going to talk to you in a way that is not as respectful as you feel you deserve. So that could be an ego thing, you know, but it's also, you know, what you portray to the environment. I missed the point there. Man, what was I saying about you correct the character for the environment? Oh, so you get her to follow you. It feels good when she follows you, the new woman. But after a while of leading the same woman, it gets tiring because we fall into these habits of wavering. My instability triggers her insecurity, validates my wavering. Her insecurity triggers my wavering, validates her insecurity. And the more we're around each other, the more we do this, and we don't get enough space to logically reason it out. We're adults, and we here even have a focus on, being reasonable. Like we want to have reasons to our life. And the emotions get in the way of that. The clutteredness in the mind and in the heart, they get in the way of that. So having space to see. So you adapt your character to your environment. Now I want you to think about, I'm just going to kind of integrate the hater video from last night, that your Instagram or your social media is your environment. That is your house. Just because you have a public house doesn't mean you still don't have control. It's like having a business, because your Instagram is your business too. Everybody here, I think, their Instagram is their business. It's your business, both in the sense of like, that's your personal business or it's private business, versus it's your business like your income. It's both of those. So that is, you calibrate within your environment, within your house, within your social media, but also you claim that if you want to. You claim that as your territory, so you set the rules. It's your world. What goes is according to you. You're maybe not used to that, but what goes when it comes to haters, what goes when it comes to replying, I can say stupid fuck on my social media. I can call someone a stupid fuck. Why can't I? Who are you, my mommy or daddy? Fuck you. You can't be a yogi and say that. Fuck you. You can't be a yogi and tell me what I can't do. How about that? How about that? How about you think you're a spiritual teacher? How about, what do you think, you're looking down on me now? Are you above me? Spiritual master, teach me. Show me your testimonies before I sign up. Okay. So your Instagram, you claim it as a territory and make influence in your world. If you're a man, you got to influence people. If you're not making a difference to people with your social media posting, how are you going to make a difference to her? That is so huge. You don't want to be that guy that is so, good in every way, but doesn't have any social media influence, because it's too easy for her to fall for another guy that has social media influence. If he's even remotely similar to you, because that guy's famous, there's so much more survival there. And it'll start out with her pushing you to do it a certain way so that you can grow your social media. Like she'll advise you how to coach, how to grow it or whatever. So it doesn't mean you have to be 1 billion people on social media, but you should be influencing people. It should be growing. You should look at this as a task on any of the platform, have some platform and make a difference to people. And what's so cool about a relationship is when you learn to make a difference to her, you learn how to make a difference to other people. From her perspective, when she learns how to make a difference to you, she's now learned something that she can communicate that will change other people if she just knows how to communicate. Y'all's learnings are original. So think of the mind, you have the ability to change into any beingness that you choose. All you need is to be able to imagine it first and apply it. Within a relationship, there is a way to speak to her that she falls in love. If for no other reason, that there is definitely a way to speak to her that she hates you. And if there's a code of the language that could create in her pure hate towards me, there's a code also that would create pure love towards me. And vice versa. She could say something that would repel the man. She could say something that would attract the man. And your mind and your beingness, you like I said, what did I say before? Well, basically like, the music. I was making an analogy of music. That let's say you hear a new song and you like it. Well, that song was available before you ever heard it. And your mind was capable of actually manufacturing those sounds, most likely. I mean, maybe if it was something you never heard before, but you're totally capable of perceiving that in your brain and your mind. But when you saw it on the outside, it helped lay down the imprint that the mind was filled with the senses. So, but that music was available to you through imagination. A musician could hear music that he's never played or has never been played. And if you use your mind for your relationship, you can quantum leap into a dimension that communicates that way that you want. You can communicate the way that you want if you can jump dimension, and your mind is capable of jumping into a different quantum field, into different possibilities and probabilities. Go back to shifting universes in the Silent Flute, my shifting universe lecture. There's the speech patterns are in there, but it's important to see that there's the way of being that she hates you, she loves you. He hates you, he loves you. And that beingness is available to you right now. The only limitation is your imagination about it. This is the Silent Flute lecture I just gave last, I gave you the skill. I gave you a technique at the end of the Silent Flute lecture. I used this thing, if you remember. That's the practice. Practice that will open your imagination. So as a man, and do I fall for this? I try to teach her so that she'll fall in love with me. That's not the game of life. That's trying to be a spiritual man, and she'll get tired of your voice. She'll say to you at some point, I'm tired of being lectured, and it'll devastate you if that's how you made her fall in love. Where she devalues that thing that you thought was the value to her. So you're basically like, are you breaking up with me? Like, when you tell me that, but it's your own fault, right? We take responsibility as a man. So you had a false datum. Women have false datums about, what they go for in a relationship, or what they go for in life, and how they prioritize the relationship in that. Men have a false datum. They try to teach her. You're not supposed to try to teach her. You're supposed to get her to chase you. You're supposed to get her to chase you. When she chases you, you can teach her. When you teach her, you may still push her away. You may get her to chase you, but chasing opens her up to being taught. The question mark opens up the mind. When she starts asking you questions, you start feeding her your mind, and she starts taking that. So that's why you gotta qualify women, because women will use your mind against you because they're evil. Maybe we'll get to it. Why? So you got to learn the game. The game is to get her to chase you. I made so many mistakes in the last 6 days with my game. I mean, really the last 2 weeks. I don't know why. It's fucking Mercury retrograde or something. I don't know. I don't know if that's what's happening. I still feel responsible for them, my ex-girlfriend, until they find another man. So that's a kind of almost a quote. This is powerful stuff. It's hella powerful. I'm synthesizing kind of some notes. You can come to the Zoom link in the bio. Also, there's boot camp meeting tonight if you want to check that out. I still feel responsible for them until they find another man. I don't know why. I think there's just something I realize. Remember when you peer into the origins of things, it's really fucking difficult when you're, really you just have a great relationship, a great, let's say, physical, sexual relationship with a woman, and you're using this technique. Remember the technique that I gave you at the end of the Silent Flute? And when you start to see what a person is composed of, you could say. And you're so intimate with a woman and you're inside of her, you're doing that. You're spearing her, and voluntarily, and all the steps that it took to open up her mind to get there to that point. So much opening. You go so deep into her if you do it right with communication. If you can open her with your words and not your hands, you're way deeper than any man has gone. And until she finds another man, for some reason, I just fucking feel responsible. Now, once she finds another man, then I don't feel responsible anymore. If something drops, like a load drops. And, to that degree, to whatever degree. This is, how does this, I guess that's kind of a tangent. Is it? Yeah, it's kind of a tangent. There's a time traveling dimension jumping machine, your mind. It's not a clock. You don't keep time. We've scheduled our mind, but really your mind is meant to jump dimensions. So when I still feel responsible for the girl, when she's not with another guy, I still have the images of her with me. When she's with another guy, I have images of her with the other guy. So the dimension, I jump from a dimension with her to a dimension out, not away, not from her. With the new girl, you jump into a dimension with her. You create that dimension. And I probably should have ordered these a little differently. I'm going to skip to the end here because I remember there's some things at the end. So you got to distinguish the seductive character from the not seductive character. And you know that actually in your competition. You know what is seducing her. What are the things, what are the musicians, what are the body types, what are the activities or the professions, or what are the things that you hear in her voice that she gets enthusiastic about? And it hurts because you fucking hate her admiring other guys. But you got to decode those because you'll end up using your energy to try to redirect her attention instead of using your energies to free yourself of your own identity. There's a version of you that is, in her mind, totally higher value than those guys on the thing that they admire them about. And you think that that's the case if you're a woman. But if you admire a musician and you jump and dance in a way that you don't dance for your man, there is an admiration of that man that if he were in the same room, if that musician was in the same room, your man wouldn't have a chance if that man had any game. That's the value difference you are giving to that musician, to that actor, to that famous person, to that politician, to that whatever. Right? Makes sense, guys? I don't know if it makes sense. Okay. All right, we got a lot of people on Instagram, and you guys can always come here to Zoom. Let's see, we got anything going on here on Facebook? No? Alex, can you go into details on the wavering? Bring it. Hey, Chris. Okay. Can you go into details on the wavering? The wavering, you got to feel, you meditate, Alex. You must feel when there is still a stillness inside versus a disturbances inside. And space away from the person and space away from, your mental distractions, your habitual distractions. I went into the silent flute where your senses are just, they're interpreting reality, or they're interpreting your world. And you're daydreaming about it. You're living in a dream. So you got to distinguish between, the daydream and what's happening. You got to recenter for that, and you get clear on when am I wavering, when am I not. Okay. So let's see here. Fuck, I jumped around. Maybe I should just skip some of these things. Correct your character. More and more I'm getting with women and thinking of them like how they treat me. This is how you qualify a woman. She needs to feel qualified for your life. You qualify her by telling her what are the things about her that would make you want to have sex with her. That, and it can't be her looks alone because it's too obvious. It's too easy. That would be like if you were a man and you had like $10 million in your bank account, or it was obvious that you were super rich. Like you see these videos of girls with their boyfriends and like a guy pulls up in a Ferrari or something, or some fucking Bentley or something. Hey, would you want to go for a ride? Oh, my boyfriend's right here. But is it okay with you, honey? Like, and then it turns out it's a prank. And now the boyfriend knows that the girl was just going to go with that guy that had money. And how many times do you do that? How many videos do they need to show that women will do that? Now, maybe they're not showing the women that didn't do that, you know, so they're being biased, kind of like the news, the racist news, like painting women up as that. But every woman, I think, is capable of that. And so that loyalty, where was I coming in? There was a bullet point here. Oh, so qualify her. What are the ways of being that you appreciate about her that would make her a good mother to your children? These things qualify her for the relationship. Now, if you determine that she's not qualified for the relationship, then you can qualify her for something less than a relationship, whatever you want from her, really. You qualify her. And in the sexual courtship, all the way to sex, she needs to feel qualified of your presence, of your value. She must register that you have value, and that because if you have value, time is money. Time is value flowing. And so she must then, she sees your value, then she indicates her interest. So that'll be body language. And this happens even in relationships just every day. She IODs, IOIs. Value perceived by her, IOIs, then qualify. I like this about you. I like that about you. I didn't realize this about you. In the moment when she's doing things, even if it's, you know, how she dressed, how she responded to something she communicated. If you qualify her before she demonstrates interest, then you become that needy guy that's trying to approve of the woman. You're a pleaser. You're trying to please her so that she gives you the green light. So the game is, you got to disqualify yourself, which is a neg. So you neg DHV, neg DHV, neg DHV, until you get IOIs. When you get IOIs, then you qualify. When you feel qualified, when she feels qualified, when she feels special to you, and you're not just hanging out with her because you would fuck her, because she already is interested in you. So that doesn't mean she wants to fuck you. It just means she's interested. She's curious. Then you go into comfort. Build comfort for 6 or 7 hours. It could be many different days. Depends on how good at building comfort you are. It has to be really good comfort. If it's not that good, if you're not that good at building comfort, which involves a lot of touch, a lot of setting changes when you change environments, it involves going through many different emotions. You get angry at some point, you get sad at some point, you're gleeful at some point, you're teased at some point, you're serious, sentimental at some points. You help her in some way that she doesn't ask for, and you ask for nothing in return. That she sees all of the demonstration of value from the attraction phase, but in a more comfortable way, where it's not like so obvious that you're teasing each other. Because when you were demonstrating value, you were negging. And in comfort, you don't neg. Don't neg her in the bedroom unless you're at foreplay. And even then, you got to be sensitive. You're going to get your knocks. You're going to fuck up and neg her when you're about to be inside of her, and she's going to get upset. And then you're going to get upset because you get blue balls and didn't realize that you negged her at the wrong time because you're playing the game wrong. But you get it right, you know, and then in seduction, you know, how do you do that? A lot of ways, and that'll come into the future. You know, the more you have a future together, the more it will handle her objection to fuck you. All right. Any questions on these things? Definitely be said. Tony Kazmiski, you said it was going to be really good, so I had to share. Nice. I hope it's getting better. I'm warming up to it. I'm almost out of time though. Let's see. This is okay. Okay. Oh, I did that one. I can talk to parts of you that you can't talk to, and they'll answer me. So when you know that there's a part in her, this is quantum seduction. When you know that there's a part in her that is we want to express, you talk to that part. You start appreciating those things about her. You bring out the person. I had a rule, even though I hardly ever stuck to it, but shorter conversations. Shorter conversations lets you not forget your intention, which could be to bring out a certain quality in the person. And she's supposed to want more conversation with you. You're supposed to end the conversation with her. That is the higher value. The higher value is more pressed for time. She's supposed to let you finish the conversation. Or if she's got to go, she's supposed to let you know in a way so that you can lead the ending of the conversation. because it will always make a man feel lower value than you if you end the conversation, and you will always feel that he was lower value than you thought he was if you end the conversation, if you got to go, unless something really disruptive happens. This whatever, I got to go. Got it. But if it's like you knew for 5 minutes you had to go and you're just waiting, and then finally you're like, all right, well, I got to go now, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, you're so busy. Your life is so valuable. I was giving you too much of my time. I should have cut it 5 minutes ago. And that's not gonna go well. You want to bring out the value in the person, bring out the submissiveness in the female. You can even just start by just talking about submissiveness. Bring that up as a topic and talk it over with her, and you'll create a more submissive vibe. Vibration of vibe, like my shirt. Mo. Hey, Mo, you're there. And Meg, you're here. Okay. Or I guess, Mo, you're here also, and Meg, you're there. Real seduction is hypnosis. Seduction is a long-term process, and start taking pride in that. Seduction, to lead the mind astray. And seducing also, there's a sexual component to that, because it's kind of weird to say political seduction or whatever. Like, you know, there's influence. All these words. I did a lecture not long ago, or it was long ago, but not long in the cosmic sense, that, you know, manipulation, seduction, mind control, influence, convincing, leading, persuasion, sales, even art. These are all forms of communication that influence, that change the mind, that change perspectives. And some of they vary in a spectrum. Mind control takes away the autonomy of the individual. Manipulation makes them feel bad when they're changing. Seduction makes them feel really good as they're changing. Influence makes them feel good in a different way, where it's like the bliss of understanding, versus selling is they're getting some survival value out of it. You're selling them something for their survival, which is why seduction for a man is sales. You sell your life to the woman. You sell your present time life, your short-term life, your long-term life. You sell her on your survival value. She sells you on her replication value. So it's disturbing to say all women are whores. Like, what are you exchanging? I get it. That's a sensitive word. It's a strong word. Get it. All men are rapey. They're rapey. They put too much force. They don't use enough words to open you up, and they use too many pushing, pull, nug, hold too hard, hug too long. There's a rapey vibe to them, because the implied communication in most situations are going to be, I'm bigger and stronger, do as I say. But it really should really be, I am a more stable mind and a better communicator than you, and I'm more rational, so do as I say. It has nothing to do with my size, physically. It's the size of my range of freedom. I was recently teaching you this. Okay. So seduction is hypnosis, because they go blind to the other storylines. They forget the other storylines. That's fine. That's what seduction is. Real seduction is hypnosis. And start taking pride in how long it takes to pull someone out of the life they've created, out of the images they've created and grown attached to. You don't know how attached they are. Remember the exercise I gave you in silent flute. You don't know how attached they are to who they are right now. You must do the exercise. I don't want to say those words from the silent flute. It's a secret. It's a key. It's a key to this alternative universe. The key to the alternative universe is in partly the exercise that I gave you on this thing in the silent flute. Okay? It's how you shift realities, and you just completely change yourself. You get a hold of your destiny, because it's in your attitude that you are manifesting. Okay, so you are DHVing. You want a DHV to change her state. When I'm saying like demonstrate value, so that she can indicate interest, so that you can qualify her. When you demonstrate value, you want it to change her state of mind. That's what you're going for, is her to change state of mind, change from here to there. That's demonstration of value. DLV would take her from there to there. The other way. You don't always know. Each girl is unique, and I'm telling you, her time of the month is fucking with it. Her mood is fucking with it. What she's interpreting 99% of the time is not what you meant. She is filtering it in a way you don't understand. Get a woman to talk about her thoughts. Get a woman to lecture about a topic, and you'll see how different you thought she has it different than what you thought she had. Now, sometimes she doesn't. That's a great thing to qualify on her, because that is cool. When you have, like, when I would learn a song, I learned these difficult songs that I couldn't always start from the beginning because I didn't really know how to start. I didn't know the rhythm. But there was usually a part in the song, like a 5-minute song, 10, 15 seconds, a little riff, something that I could wrap my brain around. I was like, that's where I should start, because I keep hearing that part in my head and it looks like maybe the simplest part or whatever. So you start wherever you can start, you get your hooks in, and then you grow the rest of the song from there. And that was how I would learn so many great songs on my own. I taught myself incredible songs. You hook in where you start, where you can understand, and you grow from there. So how was that? What was I saying about the woman? DHVing changes her state, DLV, DHV, according to her. I don't remember the connection, but each woman has, there are some core main DHVs that all women will respond to. Pre-selection is number one. And these are some of the most definite complications I've had in my relationships, is when I stopped demonstrating pre-selection, when I stopped demonstrating that other women wanted me and in a way that would make her jealous. Not jealous in the sense that, like, I want her to destruct, but jealous in the sense that if I don't stay on my game, he has someone else available. And then you must qualify her. Keep qualifying her. Why are you choosing her? Why are you choosing her? And if you're the woman, you need to keep doing the things that qualify. And you must learn as the woman how to communicate your upset, how to communicate that you're not getting what you're needing. Can I talk with you? I'm feeling sad, lonely, afraid, because I'm having such and such feelings, such and such thoughts. What should I do? And through communication, reason will come out of that. And he has to be that kind of man. And we're talking about a very, very particular kind of man, special and disciplined and committed to this, because it takes years and I'm still figuring it out, for sure. For sure. That's partly why these philosophy of love lectures. But I'm aware enough, due to the practices that I gave you in the silent flute just now, of some of the cause and effect of my life. And that's what I'm reporting on. So you DHV to change her state. Notice, what are the DHVs that change her state? What are the things you talk about that change her state? Change her state in a collaboration. So you must get her to open. Like I said in one of the philosophy of love lectures, you must get her to open and speak about her vulnerabilities. How much of her life is she willing to talk with you about? How much is she not willing to talk with you about? How much you have access to all of those things. And I'm telling you, from my last 2 relationships, you think I communicate a lot. God damn, do I fucking talk a lot. And you don't know how much she's not telling you. Don't be in such a hurry. She is fucked up. You don't know. Oh, go back past, more than the past 2 relationships. Go back to the 2 relationships before that. And then 1 relationship before that. So the last 5 relationships, I didn't, and before that I was not good at communicating. You don't know how much they're not telling you until you get too involved, and then you want them to open up. But if you start to get the fear of, like, what did I get myself into? That's a clue that you missed some important things. But you as a man, your dating and relationship skills are just that. They're skills. She has a skill set also of how to be with a man. But you must develop your skill set for women, because you have an urge to be with multiple women. And science has proven that stay with one woman and you stop appreciating her, you bicker, You start becoming more impotent, your sperm count goes down, sex becomes less frequent, less gratifying, your ambition goes down. These are all factual from analyzing many, many people over time of monogamous and marriages. So what do you do about it? There are solutions to relationships, but it's not easy because the whole world is against that. That's their programming. I said to Julia the other day, I was like, I am God. And she reacted to that in a certain way. And later I said that was like, that's how you know it's a slave planet, because there would be resistance to someone saying they are God. Why? I understand if you think it's stupid or absurd and you just walk away. That's also part of the matrix, that opinion, unless you could explain it to me, and you probably could. Some people probably could and make it make sense. But a lot of people would just do that, like that's dismiss it. But some people would come in and say you're wrong. If they don't think you're a crazy person, they'll come in and try to tell you you're wrong. Convince me I'm not a God? Why? Why do you care so much? What do you feel threatened about if I was a God? You think I'm going to like kill people or something? What ideas do you get? Because I can reason it to you why I am. That the Father and I are one. That everything I do, it's the Father doing through me. The kingdom of heaven is within me. I'm about to sneeze. Okay. So changing gears a little bit, care as this thing that makes a person senior to the role of father, of brother, of priest, of teacher, of massage therapist, of coach. If you care more for her, the paramedic cares. The more you care, and that doesn't mean that you acquiesce. You don't succumb to what she wants. You just care about what she's going through, and you care about her well-being. And this helps when you do the exercise that I showed you in the silent flute. When you can do this exercise with her, on her, in your mind, you develop a tremendous amount of care that she may not be familiar with, and you may not be familiar with how to express it in a way that she gets it. You might not be familiar with how to express it, period. And definitely the skill of how to express it in a way that she gets it. Because if she doesn't get that you care, you can care a fucking lot. It doesn't matter. If she gets that you care and you don't care at all, you keep the girl. If she thinks you care and you don't care, you still keep the girl. If you care infinity and she doesn't think you care, you don't get the girl. She's got to get that you care somehow. And that's something you communicate. In some way, remember, there's a way to communicate that she falls in love, a way to communicate that she hates you. There's a way to communicate that she thinks you don't care. There's a way to communicate that she thinks you ultimately care more than everybody. And when you care, she becomes that much more yours. So the calibration becomes shift universe to peer through the version of you that she interprets as caring. Be that man. You're supposed to be the man that she maybe falls in love with. If she's worth it to you. If what she's bringing to the table is worth it to you to mold yourself into the man that she could maybe fall in love with. Or maybe it's love at first sight. Maybe that's some ideal, but I don't think just one woman is going to love me. I think some women will fall in love at first sight. I think some women will develop a relationship over 10 years. Some women, if they met me when I was younger and then they meet me when I'm older, like there's timings to these things. I don't think there's just one. I don't think there's necessarily one man for a woman either, but there's not at the same time. And if it is at the same time, you're going to be very matriarchal. And you got to be in a certain, that might be the best thing for her. Who knows if that's the best thing for her? I mean, what is the best thing would be to completely transcend in the whole human race in this lifetime. And you lead the way. So you just idealize your life and what you want to get out of it and find some references to model after. You model off of references. So She's designed to be attracted to the father of her children. When she starts seeing children with the guy, that's when there's a heart knot, and a gut knot, and an ovary knot, and a mental knot intertwining. You know? And that's what she's designed to look for. She's looking for that because what else is she looking for? She's not looking to fuck for pleasure. That's not what a woman does. Except, okay, let's talk about monkeys. Okay, so monkeys will actually fuck a male monkey so that he protects her while she has a young child. If the male that made that kid, that baby monkey, isn't around, she will fuck another male and that male will protect her. So for access to that vagina or whatever you call it in a monkey, he'll actually protect her. The female will submit to the new alpha male when the alpha takes over the pack or the tribe or whatever. Just because he is coming in and wants to claim his territories. So she's not doing it always for the direct creation of life in that moment, but she opens to the man that is the most likely to give her the happy, safe offspring. That's what she's supposed to. That's the internal genetic programming. Then there's a surface programming that distorts that. But the genetic programming is when I give up my value, it's super high risk because there's a chance that I could get pregnant. And if I get pregnant, that guy doesn't take care of me, I'm fucked. Or the baby's fucked. And then my emotions are fucked and my body is fucked in the process. It's dangerous because I might die in pregnancy. So I really don't want to give it up to anybody except the father of my children. Or someone that's going to take care of me. But now, independent woman movement, all the luxuries and comforts that men have invented for women to work in the workplace, and now they don't need a man, and there's overpopulation anyway, and men are just so dissatisfying. They're so weak and weak-minded that she would almost rather just deal with the suffering of making it for herself than deal with the suffering of pleasing a man that doesn't have complete control of himself yet and letting him do all the hard work. You just do the hard work of being with him. That's a tough pill to swallow because there comes a risk that the man could leave you and she's been disappointed by every man before you. So that's, you risk your life because there is a shorter clock on the female of a different nature. So I sympathize with the plight of the female. So moving on, so I just wrap this up. So I'll skip that point. When the man is mad, don't yell back. Remember, I titled this video, Anger and Fear. When the man is mad, don't yell back at him. Don't threaten him. He's mad and he has male energy. He is not the same as you. It should be a programmed strategy in the female. I do not yell when he is yelling. I mean, I don't want to yell ever. The man doesn't want to yell ever. But I don't yell at him for yelling at me because that is his aggression. He's bigger and stronger, and I'm bringing out the wrong nature in him right now. And I get it. You're unstable, and sometimes fights will happen. The man does the same thing. If she's afraid of something, don't take away your protection. Don't walk away when she's afraid. But the tricky thing is that women are so cloudy and obscure and they never learned how to communicate like most of us didn't either, that she's not going to have the language to say what she's afraid of. And she'll say it in a way that like blames the guy, like, why do you want me to be afraid? No, the question is, I'm afraid right now for this reason because I think I'll be miserable. What should I do? It's so vulnerable to do that, but the man softens and melts him inside if he understands language. How difficult that is to say. So when she's afraid, you got to get a lot of her shit tests, a lot of her emotions really boils down to she's afraid of something. And I'm realizing this more and more now. She's afraid of something. And in that fear, don't take away your value, your protection. You can eventually, I'm not saying these aren't like hard and fast rules, or however you say it, like unbreakable rules. It's just the idea that when she raises up against you when you're aggressive, that's going to disintegrate the dynamic. And when she's afraid and you pull away, it's going to disintegrate that dynamic because remember the exercise in the silent flute. She had an earlier experience of that emotion that you are re-triggering all of the other thoughts connected to that emotion when you pull away when she's afraid. Okay, so when we take responsibility for our errors and mistakes too as men. So all mistakes, like I said in Silent Flute, are mistakes of ignorance. Okay, so I appreciate you guys staying. Fabian, obviously staying in the relationship would be her best sign. What are signs from her that confirm she believes that I am caring? But what are ways, let's see. We got a couple women on Zoom. If you guys want to unmute, how do you know your man cares? What are some ways that you get that your man cares? I wouldn't blame you if you don't want to unmute, but if you want to unmute, you don't have to do video. What are some ways that you know the man cares? But what are ways to push the caring that she gets it? Okay. Any ideas?
Does what it takes to work it out with you.
What, say that again?
He does whatever it takes to work it out with you.
Okay, so she knows that the man cares when he does whatever it takes to work it out. Okay, so any other things? How do you know that a man cares? All right. Okay, so let's go with that. So he does whatever it takes to work it out. Now, this is going to be in the perception of the woman of whatever it takes, because his ability to see logic, cause and effect, and strategy, he should be strategizing how to make it okay. So you judge him based on, so here's one way that you care as a man. Here's a deeper answer. That he does not take away his provision and protection, doesn't take away his value from you when you're upset or when he's upset. That during the upset, now it's different. I mean, if she like cheats on you and then you're fucking upset and you don't stop, you remember the earlier rule of like when she gets another man, I drop the responsibility. So, but that he does not take away the value that she receives from him just because they're upset, that's caring. Caring is also forgiving them their errors, their character errors. Forgiving them their mistakes. Don't hold it against them that they made human mistakes. Caring. Caring is taking the time to help them process their emotions. And they will know that after the emotion is processed. They won't be able to appreciate you while it's happening. They'll appreciate you after it happens because they'll see they'll have more space like Silent Flute, and they'll see cause and effect, and they'll see what you were doing. It's like my teacher's girlfriend came back to him after a while and said, I remembered some things. I wonder what she remembered. She remembered how good he was when she was not good. I'm assuming that's what it was because I can imagine that's what it was. Okay. All right. So let's see. I think I had one more bullet no, that was the end. Yeah. That was so fear and anger. So don't take yourself away just because she's afraid of losing you. And when you do that, you're confirming her insecurity. You wavered. Then when the man is mad, don't yell back at him because he's wavering because he's mad. He's mad because you're not doing something that he wants you to do. Right. That's why he's mad at you. I mean, if he's mad at something else and he's taking that out on you, that's where you get like, quote, toxic relationship. People like to throw that word around. But that when, you're putting the aggression. I did that once, actually, when we watched the Fall Cabal video. So this, I hope I don't get hacked for saying that. But, we watched this documentary about like, there was human trafficking and, all this shit. I got fucking angry. I was so angry at all these like fucking baby raping fucking politicians or whatever. And I got in a fight because I was so angry. I got angry at her. So I took it out in the wrong direction, right? But if he is angry with you about something you're doing, then you could almost call that a fear. He's a fear of the relationship being misrepresented. He's a fear of losing his manhood. It's a fear of losing his balls in the situation. It's a fear of losing his advantage, fear of losing his value. And getting angry with him confirms all of those things, that he has lost his manhood in your mind. So that's fear and anger in relationships. Let's see, I have a question, Carlos Fernandez. Go ahead, brother, if you want to unmute.
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
Oh, just wrapping up the day, doing my final communications. Really happy to do this. So what can I do for you?
So my thing right now is I came into a situation with a girl where she's clearly like in love with some other guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just basically like the distraction placeholder at this point.
Yeah.
Which I was fine with initially because that's kind of where I was at mentally. But, you know, as time is going by, I'm getting feelings for her. And I'm just trying to figure out strategically, is there some kind of best action or way that I can go about it going forward to kind of try to like get a better position, I guess, in this dynamic.
Yeah, most of the time, it depends on how committed the girl is to the guy. I don't like talking with girls that have boyfriends because it's just
It's not her boyfriend. It's actually a guy who had a girlfriend who she was just kind of dating on the side, and then he just recently broke up with his girlfriend, and now she's kind of wondering if she should jump into a relationship with him. But she was kind of infatuated with him before I met her, and then she even puts it like I'm kind of like in the mix now, but like I'm kind of ruining her dynamic that she had with him, sort of thing.
I would just go with that. You just attract her with pre-selection, show that you can get other women, and then just keep dismantling her relationship with her just through talking about the negative aspects of masculinity and, you know, negativity of men, and the positives, and how, and, you know, you DHV, you keep DHVing. And you know, eventually her attraction will erode for the other guy, or you'll just find yourself a really good friend that knows you a lot and will recommend other women to you and go out with you and whatever. And typically, as you get to know the girl, you know, a girl that's infatuated with another man has a lot of that, but is holding on to you as a friend. Most women have a lot of psychological defects that men have psychological defects also. And that's why you vibe with each other. And so you ascend. And the way for you to not get frustrated in that ascension is to have other women, because you'll get frustrated with that. So what you do with her is you just talk about, you know, the other guys in the light of your awareness, and then you demonstrate value, demonstrate that you care, be a good friend, don't push for anything until you're certain you could get it, and definitely be gaming other women.
The one weird thing about this quote unquote friend zone that I'm in is that, because it feels like a friend zone, but the difference is that according to her, this guy hasn't tried to sleep with her yet, and I've slept with her a bunch of times. And to her, she keeps describing it almost as if like because he hasn't tried to sleep with her, and it's been like 8 months since they've known each other, that's kind of like I guess like a neg to her, that she wants to try to see why he doesn't want her. Like that's attracting her more.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just.
So you need to not need sex from her. You need to step back, demonstrate value, and you need to amog the guy, which will just come in your higher awareness of masculinity. And don't talk too much about the guy, because you don't want to come across as you're trying to do something like that. And you just got to demonstrate value and re-attract her. It sounds like she lost attraction. And so you're friend zoned. So you need to friend zone her harder. You need to best friend zone her.
Okay.
All right. So that's the best advice I can give right there, brother. Thank you all for tuning in. See you next week next Tuesday on Behavior Code. If you want deeper mechanics, go to ninthlimb.com and sign up for the silent flute. And I will see you tomorrow on Enlightened Masculinity. Namaste.